I was 71 years old when my own grandson looked me in the eye and said, "Grandma, you're too old to work here anymore. You're slowing the company down." The room went silent. Board members stared at their tablets. Young executives avoided my eyes. The glass walls reflected my own shocked face back at me. Too old. After 43 years of building that company from nothing but dust and dreams, I was being escorted out like yesterday's trash. What he didn't know was that the company he just fired me from still legally belonged to me, and I was about to teach him a lesson he would never forget. But before I tell you how karma folded his arrogance in half, let me take you back to how this betrayal was born. My name is Mary Hale. I wasn't born into money. I wasn't gifted opportunities. I built everything with my own two hands. At 26, I started a small manufacturing company in Ohio. Just 3 employees, one broken machine, and a rented warehouse that smelled like oil and rust. My husband passed away early. I raised my daughter alone while running invoices at night and packing shipments in the morning. There were years I slept in my office chair, years I skipped meals to make payroll. But slowly, the company grew. By the time I was 60, Hale Industrial Solutions employed over 600 people nationwide. We weren't flashy, we were solid, reliable, and respected. My daughter married young. Her son, James, was brilliant, sharp mind, big ambition, natural confidence. I adored him, paid for his education, funded his internships, mentored him personally. When he graduated business school, I brought him into the company. At first, he listened. Then, success fed his ego. He started using words like modernization, rebranding, aggressive restructuring, which usually meant firing loyal employees, chasing risky profits, and ignoring long-term stability. I tried guiding him gently. He smiled politely and ignored me. 2 years ago, I slowly stepped back from daily operations, not because I was weak, but because I trusted him. Big mistake. He started surrounding himself with young executives who worshipped speed over wisdom. They laughed at my old school strategies, mocked my handwritten notes, rolled their eyes when I spoke in meetings. I noticed the disrespect growing, but I stayed silent, observing, waiting. The board meeting was supposed to be routine: financial review, expansion plans, risk assessment. Halfway through, James stood up unexpectedly. "Before we continue," he said confidently, "I'd like to discuss leadership efficiency." My stomach tightened. He clicked the screen. A presentation appeared titled "Transitioning from Legacy Leadership." Legacy. That word burned. He spoke about aging leadership slowing innovation, about needing younger vision, about investors preferring modern faces. Then he looked directly at me. "Grandma, it's time you retire, effective immediately." The room froze. My heart pounded calmly, the dangerous kind of calm. I asked quietly, "Are you firing me from my own company?" He smirked. "You technically don't own it anymore. Remember the trust transfer?" My blood turned cold. I remembered signing documents years ago when my health scare made me vulnerable. Documents he had prepared. Trust paperwork. He believed ownership had shifted. He believed he had outsmarted me. He was wrong. What James never bothered to read carefully was the contingency clause. I retained full controlling rights if unethical governance or internal misconduct occurred, and I had been collecting evidence quietly for 2 years. Emails, insider deals, illegal vendor kickbacks, investor manipulation. He thought age made me weak. Age made me patient. As security politely escorted me out of the building I had built with my life, James whispered, "Don't worry, Grandma. I'll take good care of your legacy." I smiled softly because he had no idea his empire was about to collapse from the inside, and I was holding the switch. The glass doors slid shut behind me. That building, those walls, those offices, they had once felt like my second home. Now they felt like a stranger's house that had locked me out. I didn't cry. Not in the parking lot, not in the car, not even when I reached home. Shock has a strange way of freezing your emotions. I made tea, sat at my kitchen table, and stared at my hands. These hands had signed the first business contract. These hands had packed shipments at midnight. These hands had shaken thousands of deals into existence. And now, my own blood had declared them useless. Too old. That word kept echoing in my head like a cruel drumbeat. But anger never made me reckless. It made me focused. That night, I opened my old locked cabinet. Inside were folders I had quietly collected over the last 2 years. James's emails, vendor contracts, internal complaints, accounting anomalies. Things that didn't feel right, even when everyone else was celebrating profits. I had trusted my instincts more than his ambition, and instincts never lie. The next morning, I called Harold, my old legal advisor. He had helped me build the company from day one. He knew every loophole, every clause, every hidden protection I had placed into those contracts. "Harold," I said calmly, "he thinks he owns the company." A long pause, then a soft laugh. "He doesn't, not even close." He reminded me of the contingency clause. If unethical practices or governance violations occurred, full control automatically reverted to me. We just needed proof, real proof. So I started my quiet war. I reached out discreetly to old employees who still trusted me, warehouse supervisors, former managers, IT technicians, people who had watched James change the company culture. One by one, the stories poured out. Suppliers forced into kickbacks, employees fired for questioning numbers, fake performance reports sent to investors, personal expenses hidden inside corporate budgets. It wasn't just arrogance, it was corruption. I felt sick, not because of the money, but because he had poisoned something I had built with integrity. One evening, an IT engineer named Carlos contacted me privately. "Mrs. Hale, there are backup servers James doesn't know about." My heart raced. He gave me encrypted access. What I found there was devastating. Deleted emails, hidden financial spreadsheets, encrypted payment trails. James wasn't just careless, he was reckless. He thought no one would ever look behind the curtain. He forgot who taught him business discipline. Me. Weeks passed. I didn't confront him. I didn't react publicly. I stayed invisible, letting his ego grow, letting his mistakes multiply. Meanwhile, Harold quietly prepared the legal structure. Auditors, compliance investigators, regulatory contacts. Everything lined up quietly like chess pieces moving into place. Every night, I sat alone organizing files. Sometimes my hands trembled, not from fear, but from sadness. This wasn't revenge against a stranger. This was against the child whose scraped knees I once cleaned. One evening, Harold called me urgently. "Mary, we found something big." "What?" "An foreign investment transfer tied directly to James's personal account. Illegal, traceable, damning." I closed my eyes slowly. The trap was ready, and he was walking straight into it. Power has a strange effect on people. It makes them careless, loud, arrogant. James began appearing in magazines, business podcasts, social media interviews. He talked about innovation, youth leadership, breaking old systems. He never once mentioned the people who built the foundation, me. He didn't even realize how loudly he was advertising his own downfall. 2 months later, the board announced a major investor summit. Media would be present, shareholders would attend, future expansion would be revealed. Perfect timing. Harold smiled quietly. It's time. I attended as a guest, not announced, not highlighted, just a silent observer in the back row. James stood confidently on stage. Sharp suit, bright smile, big promises. He spoke about growth projections. That's when the auditors interrupted. Legal officers entered. Documents were handed to the board. Faces changed. Whispers spread. James's smile slowly collapsed. The projector screen switched unexpectedly. Instead of his presentation, it displayed transaction logs, foreign accounts, unauthorized transfers, hidden contracts. The room froze. Gasps filled the hall. Reporters started recording. James stuttered. What is this?" The lead investigator calmly said, "Mr. Hale, you are under investigation for financial misconduct, fraud, and breach of fiduciary duty." His face drained of color. His eyes searched the room. And then they found me, sitting calmly in the back, watching. Our eyes locked. I didn't smile. I didn't frown. I simply looked steady, the way a teacher looks when a student finally understands the lesson. He understood everything. Too late. Security escorted him off stage. Cameras flashed. His empire shattered in real time. That night, he came to my house, knocked on my door, hard, desperate, crying, and I had to decide whether to open it. I opened the door slowly. James stood there, broken. Not the confident CEO, not the arrogant executive, just a scared young man. "Grandma, please," he whispered. "I didn't know, I swear." Tears streamed down his face. For the first time, he looked small. We sat across from each other at my kitchen table, the same table where I once helped him with homework. He confessed everything: greed, pressure, ego, fear of failure. "I just wanted to prove I was better than you," he cried. That sentence hurt more than the firing ever did. I spoke calmly. "You didn't beat me, James. You betrayed yourself." He faced legal charges, lost his position, lost his reputation. The board reinstated me as controlling authority, but I didn't return to daily operations. I appointed ethical leadership, structured transparency systems, built protections he had dismantled. One evening, I sat alone watching the sunset. Not angry, not bitter, just peaceful. I realized something powerful. Age is not weakness. Wisdom is not outdated. Experience is not disposable. And respect is earned through integrity, not power. Life doesn't always punish immediately, but it always balances the scales. And sometimes, the strongest revenge is becoming untouchable in silence. I didn't scream, I didn't celebrate. I simply walked away stronger, wiser, and unbreakable. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that strength doesn't fade with age and that dignity always wins in the end, please hit the like button. It truly helps this story reach more people who need this message. And if you enjoy powerful, real-life inspired stories like this one, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. Your support means more than you know. Thank you for listening to my story.